afternoon. Today's the last day we're talking about SpongeBob in the Bible, and we're going to finish it up by, of course, talking about SpongeBob. So let's review what we talked about and see how it applies to SpongeBob. We talked about Patrick trying to be someone who he isn't. Can't help but think of when SpongeBob tried to be Sandy and do all of the crazy stuff that she did, but of course it didn't work out because he's not her. We talked about Squidward not living life to the fullest and enjoying it. And of course, SpongeBob does that. When he gets scared of life, he hides in his house and doesn't have any fun because it's safer to stay inside. We talked about Mr. Krabs not appreciating his workers and people who help him out and taking them for granted. SpongeBob does this with Gary. He enters him into that race and he doesn't appreciate his hard work. He just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and showing no appreciation, no encouragement. Of course, it stresses Gary out, and by the end, he's falling apart. We talked about Plankton and forgiveness, and we got to remember that episode where SpongeBob and Patrick got into a huge fight, and they were at each other's throats and not forgiving each other. Granted, this was started by Squidward, but that's another thing. But by the end, of course, they do reconcile. We talked about Mrs. Puff and patience and taking shortcuts. And of course, SpongeBob does exactly that when he gets jerk arms. He can't actually lift anything. He just has a quick fix. We talked about Pearl and peer pressure. And of course, SpongeBob gives in to peer pressure once in a while. Plankton, through peer pressure, gets him to clear off the beach. He keeps ripping his pants to get accepted by the group. And of course, that backfires. SpongeBob has done all the things that we've talked about through this week. And you probably have too. 1 Corinthians 10:13. There is no temptation that you have dealt with that others have not gone through. But God will not put any temptation in front of you that you cannot stand, and he will always give you a way out. I'm going to tell you, that is a strong paraphrase because I can't remember the exact, it's a long one. But 1 Corinthians 10:13, one of the most famous ones out there. Your struggles are common across everybody. And I hope that's what you realize. That everything we've talked about, everyone deals with. So if you ever feel like, oh man, no one understands me, no one gets what I'm going through, you are not alone. Ask somebody for help. Talk to somebody. Vent. There's always someone willing to listen, and I'm willing to bet they're going to have a story. They went through the exact same thing or are going through the same exact thing. Have a great day.